Right, the next item on your list following 1 and 2 for the servery and the toilet, number 3 is the towel room area. This is the entrance by the font, and we would like to make some changes to this on the outside. Firstly, the door needs to be wider so it's disabled access easier. We're proposing to either have one wide door or maybe two, one each side as there is at the moment. This other door is not normally used, but it may well look better to have it symmetrical with one door each side. But if we do that, we need them both the same width and wider so that they are accessible by wheelchair and fits the regulations for disability. We also propose the central panel that you see just behind the font. We would like to see a window across there, the height coming from the top of the font to the top of that section. Have a panelled area at the bottom but a window at the top so it's more open and brighter. And then the whole area needs to be stained or painted cream, something that looks better than the blue and the navy dark that we've got there at the moment. Possibly would have to be painted. I'm not sure whether we'd be able to stain it. It depends on the wood and the materials. But basically that's what we'd like. 2 doors, both with disabled access, and a window in there to brighten the room and also to be able to look through from the church if we've got children in there, to be able to see and communicate with them. So, following on from that, if we walk in and come into the area where the storage cupboards are, and the space above where we store lots of sit and ride toys and bigger items. I'll just take you through so you can just see. This first cupboard is the cleaning cupboard, and we store all our cleaning equipment and whatever. So it is locked, but it is locked with a padlock, which is sufficient but not ideal. So a separate cleaning cupboard would be preferable that is properly locked. We also have in here the safe, as you can see, which again is not ideal because it's inside the cleaning cupboard. So we propose to have that in one of the other storage areas, which I will explain as we get to that. The next cupboard along stores a lot of our electrical bits for music requirements. Some of these items will be going. We are trying to declutter as much as we can, but the majority is still needed and used on various occasions. And the end cupboard, we have yet more storage for toys, and the bottom area is for pots and items relating to flower arranging. So again, we've used every bit of space that we've got here, and a lot of this equipment has to be taken out. The toys have to be taken out every week when we do our toddler group, and then all put away at the end. So you can imagine the amount of work, and also the fact that a lot of our toys that we get out are up the top there, which we need a ladder to access every week as we get things in and out, and on a Saturday once a month when we have our dad's group. So it's not ideal, but the object of having new storage is so that we can make better use of this room. So if you can just see, it's difficult to show, but hopefully you can just see something of the depth of those cupboards and that area at the top. If we can take everything back to that far wall, we would have a bigger space in this room to actually use, which is what we would like to see, that it's a room that we can use it for small meetings, We can use it on a Sunday morning for the children, and any other, I mean, we hope to have a prayer area, but again, this can be a closed room where someone can come and talk with someone if that's required. And especially if we want to have small meetings, we can heat this area better than having to heat the whole church if we come in for a meeting, say, with a dozen of us or whatever. So that's the storage area there. We also have at this far end, where the main west door is, which has not been used for at least 2 or 3 generations. It's closed up, but it is very drafty, and obviously we have to use this space at the moment for storing stuff. So what we would like to do, the curtains were a sort of a temporary attempt to hide the storage, and also to, when they're pulled over completely over, to try and stop some of the draft when you're in here, because it's so cold coming in that west door. What we would like to do is something on a more permanent basis with a partition to come right the way across where the curtains are up to the tower door, so that we leave the tower door accessible just the same. This will involve, if it's difficult to get the perspective of this, but we would want to take the start of the partition wall, you can see my hand, somewhere at the end of this cupboard, and then come right the way across the front. If I come to the other end, you can see it from this angle. We're looking to come along here, but then obviously that comes out slightly further than the tower door and the pillar here. This is set further back, so we would have to have something in the way the panel would have to be, the partition would have to be shaped at an angle here, so that we don't interfere with the tower door. It would have to come from this wall here, and that doesn't run parallel with where we need it at the other end. We would also need to have access door or doors in this to be able to get to the storage behind there, if that's what we decide on. We were possibly looking at storing tables in this area, but that's a bit open at the moment. We're not sure of the best policy for that. But we definitely need this area closed off, whether it's for storage or not, because this is the area where it's getting very dark in here. You can see this is the area where our consumer units and switches for all of the overhead heaters are, and meters are down the bottom. So this area, we don't really want to get involved with having to pull all of that area out. So we'd like to leave that as it is, but partition it off so it's completely separate, and then there's a door accessing into it. Right, moving on. The other main aspect of this room is also the ceiling, which is quite dull, and the lighting is not particularly good. Part of the reason for having a window in between the 2 doors is to make this room brighter. But what we would like to do is to cover the ceiling with plasterboard and have that plastered over below this area that we have at the moment. As you can see, there's a trapdoor there which we would have to keep open. It's the area that accesses for any repairs that we have to do for the bells. I've never known it to happen as yet, but that has to still be available should we need to use it. Very, very rarely, but it needs to be accessible. So with the false ceiling, the plasterboard that we put over, we would have to have an opening trapdoor to still be able to access that, but presumably that's not insurmountable. So that basically covers us for this room. This is a very important part of the project because we don't want to use this room as a storage room. This is why we want all the storage space properly inside the church, so that we can use this as a proper room. It's a good space, and it would be ideal to be able to be used as a room rather than just a storage area where everything is pushed in. So that basically is the proposals for the third item, which is the tower room.